Welcome to Crafter of Many Kinds. My name is Emmy, and this is an episode of Quick Crafts. This Halloween, Jess and I were invited to another Halloween party. So instead of wearing my pumpkin spice loli outfit, we decided to do a couple's costume from a show that stole both of our hearts this past year. Jess asked if we could go with Stede and Blackbeard from the HBO show Our Flag Means Death. She was able to buy her costume a couple months ago, and I put mine together piecemeal since I did not have any time to sew anything else this year. However, that didn't really feel like I was making enough effort, so I decided to try my hand at some prop making and accentuate our costumes with a fandom favorite, the 40 orange cake. Now, if you haven't seen Our Flag Means Death, it is fantastic and you should check it out. It's about a nobleman named Stede Bonnet who gives up everything he has to become a pirate. However, his version of pirating is more like running a fun summer kids camp on a boat. He's inept and his priorities are misplaced, but his version of pirating actually interests like a jaded older Blackbeard. Blackbeard has seen everything, but he's never seen anything like Stede, so he decides to follow him. The show is super queer and it has great representation. It's only a few hours long, and if you like Taika Waititi's other stuff like Reservation Dogs or What We Do in the Shadows, you're gonna love this. The infamous orange cake comes from a gag in an episode where Stede's crew is dealing with scurvy because he used all of the oranges on board to make a fancy orange cake instead of feeding them to his crew. This cake has its own fan following, so I thought our costumes just would not be complete without it. I have never made a fake cake before, but Jess was able to find this relatively cheap small cake form online, and I looked around and found a tutorial that used wall spackling as fake frosting. I went to the local Ace Hardware in our town, and they had everything I needed, starting with the spackling as well as some acrylic orange paint. They actually had a pretty kitted out crafting section for such a small store. I was pretty impressed. The best part was this insane giant collection of like high quality plastic animals that I would have killed for as a child. I mean, like, look at this happy little donkey, like, look at it. And these fantastic fowl, they even had a little Lego mini store for you to put them into. Like who has that? Anyway, back to the cake. I got these wall spatulas, which seem a bit like regular spatulas, as well as one of our leftover Chipotle bowls from some catering. We have about like 50 of these just hanging around the house. The lightweight spackling is exactly the same consistency as icing, so there is basically no difference. I frosted a number of cakes, and while it is super nice to be able to hold these up instead of spinning them on a tray, it is exactly the same thing as doing it on the real thing. My mom always made people in our family custom cakes for our birthdays, depending on what we'd been doing the previous year. My favorite was for my 18th birthday, she made me a Katamari Damacy cake. It's my favorite video game. It's from Japan, and the idea is that you roll this sticky ball all around the world, and it sticks to everything it touches, and you slowly get bigger and bigger until you reach some kind of size goal, and it's timed. It's hilarious because you can roll up all kinds of stuff like cars, shoes, food, people, like whales, and sometimes like even like the clouds. And I played this game all the time as a teen, and so my mom frosted a styrofoam ball to look like a katamari and had it rolling across the cake, picking up all kinds of really cute cake topper toys that she had found at a local decorating store. If I find some pictures of it, I will post on the Instagram, so please give me a follow on the Instagram. I want to make this cake look like one of those kinds where they pour the mirror glaze on top and it's like really glossy. They also do this cool thing where they dribble some of the frosting down the sides, and it gives this cake like a neat irregular stripe look to it at the end. As you can tell, I've been watching a lot of cake decorating online. So that's what I'm going to do here today and start painting some lines going down the sides. After that, I'm going to use some really high gloss Mod Podge layers to try to give it like a shiny gelatin look. I've been rewatching Our Flag Means Death during the making of this cake, and while trying not to spoil anything about it, I was reminded about how subversive this show was. I was expecting it to just be a silly comedy about pirates and ended up getting served like my heart on a plate. Comedies aren't my favorite genre, so it was unexpected for such a silly show like this to make me feel so deeply about the characters. This little ragtag band of reject pirates and their nutty captain was really a highlight for me in what was otherwise a pretty dark year. As soon as the show was over, I instantly grabbed my phone to make sure a second season was already in the works. It is, and I'm really excited to see where it goes next year because Stede Bonnet was a real historical figure, and I can't wait to see how much of his real story they're gonna use. So let's get together and make another cool show prop next year, okay? Jess got these plastic oranges to go on the cake. My idea was to cut them in half and put them around the bottom of each tier for decoration, and this big slice is like the exact size of the top of the cake. We bought these online, so I did not get to see them before we got them, and when they arrived, Jess was able to just snap one in half with a pair of scissors, but truth is, I have teeny tiny fairy hands that are great for picking up small beads or like plucking on threads, but not great at anything that involves squeezing. You never have to worry about me shaking your hand. I can barely crush a soda can, let alone your bones. I decided to get out the craft saw and try to cut my way through these hard plastic oranges, but honestly, while it did make a little bit of dent in the pieces, it was nowhere near close enough to snap. But I finally ate through the first orange enough that I was able to trim it with the scissors. I did that for the rest of them. Now just 14 more to go. I'm starting to put the cake together so I can put the cut oranges all the way around the sides. I'm just hot gluing them on since it's just a prop for one night, and I'm not too worried about securing it too much beyond Halloween. They stick out a little bit, but I'm going to be covering up the edge with some more fake frosting, and I think that's going to smooth out this look. These oranges look pretty nice, like candied orange slices, and they lay perfectly around the small width of the layers of the cake. The perfect round one on top just makes this look impeccable. I'm going to start mixing up the rest of the fake frosting, and this time with the paint mixed into color instead of just painting over it. I wanted to make sure I got a really vibrant orange to match the rest of the cake and to make a nice statement in contrast to the white of the base of the cake. It takes a while to get the color to settle in perfectly, but once it does, I scrape it into a Ziploc bag and attach a piping tip and just treat it like, a normal cake. I'm going to just make stars all along the edge of the cake to cover up the bottom of the oranges. Now for the big reveal. The costumes went over splendidly with the cake in hand. As you can see, there's about an 18-inch height difference between Jess and I in this outfit for added hilarity. The cake turned out so nice that we actually had to set it away from the food table so that people didn't mistake it for being a part of the dessert. This quick craft turned out pretty much as good as I could have expected it to, for never having made anything like this before, so I am 2 thumbs up on this one. I'm loving it. I'm gonna stick it on a shelf somewhere. Just to let you know, for the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be releasing these quick craft videos that are like one-shots while I'm in the process of editing the footage of my next big project. So if you like this, please like and subscribe for more. The channel is growing so quickly and I'm like so excited about this. Please give us a share if there's anything that I'm doing that matches up with any groups or anything you're online. Please give us a share. I appreciate it so much. And if you're already a fan of Our Flag Means Death, check out Runcible Things, which is run by my friend Sean. He has some OFMD stickers, and he also has some really cool cards and prints. He's going to be my first guest on an artist interview show that I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks. I've been a fan of his art for years now, and I can't wait for you all to get to see more of it. Link to his shop in the description. And if you want to follow up on what I'm doing in between projects, I've got both an Instagram and Twitter with links that you can find in the bio. Thanks everybody so much. This is Crafter of Many Kinds.